I grew up here in Wagner. I really can't think of any other effort that has taken place to address the issues that our study circles have addressed.
Roughly 8 years ago, the Northwest Area Foundation was looking at how they could work with local communities to try to address poverty issues. And one of the conversations that came up in that discussion was that what contributes to poverty. And of course, then one of the things that they discussed was racism has a lot to do with contributing to existence of poverty and continuing it.
In came SDSU Extension with the opportunity to do these study circles on race. And that's when my ears perked up.
There's been a lot of segregation in our community, and it's an effort to bring two cultures together and to work towards common goals.
I think the history here, all the history here with the land and the past history of our ancestors is what manifested the racism here.
Congress decided they were not going to do treaties anymore, and they started to open the land up through Homestead Act, and pretty much relegated my grandparents, my great-great-grandfather, to the reservation. He couldn't leave. A lot of land was being taken. Homesteaders were coming in there and setting up farms and ranches. But there was never any real integration or anything like that going on. There was never really contact in a social way, especially between Indian people and the white people here. So they kind of kept to themselves. So over the years, it just kind of became a pattern of being ignored and being outside the structure and organization of the city of Wagner. And you still have that separation. There's fear on both sides, and it's been going on all this time. After that initial focus group, the Wagner community, I think, was open to at least to the possibility that there's going to be something new happening in this community. And so the community was then I could see, was beginning to relax in terms of allowing something to help change and make things better.
It's about first developing a level of trust and knowing that it's a safe place to have a conversation. And then once you have that trust developed, then you can talk about some tough issues and then talk about solutions.
The very first action step was a native voice in the local newspaper every week for 5 years. And now it's been 8 years. That's a syndicated column, and it's also become a book for Vince Tweagles, who writes the rest of the story. An action step was to create community garden space. But what came out of that was, now that we've done the community garden for a year, let's have a farmer's market. Out of the farmer's market was, how do we get people who are in generational poverty access to fresh fruits and vegetables? So then the Department of Agriculture helped us to get a credit card machine that would take the food stamps or the EBT cards. And so that's an example of how the action step of a community garden led to food stamp access to fresh fruits and vegetables at the farmer's market.
They wanted to better the community cleanup. This was the first year ever that the Yankton Sioux tribe and the city of Wagner put their community cleanups on the same day. So this year we had over 100 people come out and help with the cleanup. Afterwards we had a little reception with a band and a meal, and it was phenomenal. For two races to be together picking up one another's trash in the community, literally making your community look to be a better place. Yeah, some people might just look at it as, oh, they cleaned up the community, but there was so much else going on.
We did a candidates forum for school board elections and a candidates forum for sheriff elections. The candidates were asked questions that were written before the forum itself. They were published in the newspaper for 2 weeks before the forum took place. So the presence of that space for the conversation now exists in the community. And just having that space shifts things.
There's a ton of people who go through that racism study circle and may have had a trigger of something in their head where, you know, hey, I could do this to make a difference or to better something, and they go out and maybe create a program or approach an event differently, and it's a snowball effect through town, and it's been awesome.
We started having meetings about housing issues with a couple other groups, and realized that there had to be coalition building, you know, before we can really, truly start addressing the housing issue in the community. So there's that inclusiveness that's saying, well, we need to get together, both communities, to start addressing some of our needs in the community. So far, it hasn't moved to impact the city council, but I think that time's coming.
You don't see that fear in the natives kids that I think that they once had, that this is not my school, I am not important here. That's fading away. And then you're able to see both races of kids sit together, cheerlead together, be on the court together, the field together, and get along together.
We're not there yet. There's still a lot of work to do, but I do feel like, generally speaking, the direction is moving in a positive direction.